Hi everyone, Jay Haig at Living Without Lust, back with you for our fourth in a series of videos on how you can become, as Christian leaders, resource people for those who struggle with lust, pornography, and sexual addiction. This is video number 4. And the subject I want to address today is, why do we recommend that people get into 12-step groups? Well, if you have followed our teaching series, you'll know that we've divided people into 4 different categories. Every single person on earth is in one of these 4 categories. The first 3 categories, namely those who have never struggled, those who used to struggle or were delivered, and those who are what we call casual lusters, who apparently dip into lust occasionally, but they don't go to a lower atmosphere. They don't suffer severe consequences and the inability to stop. Those 3 people can go through sermon series and small groups that have a definitive beginning and end, and learn about sexual brokenness and learn about trying to help others and protect themselves. But the 4th group, and those are the sexaholics or sex addicts who've taken themselves out of the whole context of what is right or wrong, are not free not to stop, and often go into a lower environment and go through the whole addictive cycle. These folks need ongoing help for the rest of their lives. Because any addiction, if you've studied it, you know that it's not curable. Now, many Christians have come up to us and said, you know, God can heal that, and I believe He can, but this malady is probably a little bit more like the thorn in the flesh. It's a malady where God's grace is sufficient. But how is His grace meted out to us on a day-to-day basis? Well, we have to remember that those who are engaged in lust, pornography, and sexually addictive behavior are isolated people. We have been secretive, we've lied about our behavior, and so on. And so it's a little bit like the Seinfeld episode of the Bizarro World, remember, where they had to do the opposite. So we have to do the opposite in recovery. And that means we have to get out of isolation into community, we have to be rigorously honest with one another, and we have to get out of a chaotic lifestyle into one that is more regulated and is more like a rule of life. And that's really what the 12-step program is for sexual addiction recovery. It's a rule of life. So there are many people who get involved in generic recovery movements both inside and outside the church. Our conviction over 25 years of involvement is that the specialized nature of sex addiction is best dealt with in a sex addiction only group. In other words, the kind of in-depth sharing, the kind of community that is built is going to be best built with those who have this common malady, rather than sharing with others who may be dealing with issues of anorexia or other kinds of personal problems, Overeaters Anonymous, etc. So what kind of 12-step group should we be involved in? Well, we recommend Sexaholics Anonymous. And the reason we recommend Sexaholics Anonymous, and it's not the only S group out there, there are other S groups, and you should feel free to research those and to see if they meet your needs. But the reason we recommend Sexaholics Anonymous is because of the shared sobriety definition of no sex with self, no sex with anyone other than a spouse, and the spouse is in a man and woman marriage. So we believe that is the biblical definition of sobriety, and it's also SA's definition of sobriety. So what happens? First of all, we have to acknowledge, again, that there's no cure for sexaholism. Sexaholics Anonymous came out of the AA movement. And we know that within AA it says the problem has not been eliminated, but the problem has been removed. It's been removed across the room. It's still possible for the alcoholic or the sexaholic to get involved in their disease. But we have a daily reprieve based on our spiritual condition. That's the promise of AA, and it's the promise of SA as well. So when we get involved in a 12-step group, this is ongoing, not only support, the working of this 12-step program, the getting with a sponsor, the service to others, and the spiritual growth is involved. All these things take place within an ongoing fellowship of 12-step. And you will find that most good therapists who are working on sex addiction with their clients will recommend that they get involved in a 12-step program so that they get ongoing support, because we know the therapy is going to end. Whether it's 6 weeks or 6 months or 2 years or even 5 years, the therapy will eventually end. But the ongoing need for support, spiritual growth, the dealing with character defects, and so on, will be the primary community of the 12-step group. So this is a very, very important aspect of recovery, an involvement in a 12-step group for those who are addicted, for those who have acknowledged to themselves that they are indeed sexaholics. And involvement in that group is going to be the primary spiritual mover and spiritual growth element in that person's life as they move forward. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, my name is Jay Haig at Living Without Lust. You can email me at jay@livingwithoutlust.com. Until next time, have a great day.